What is good, everybody? Good day. I hope everyone's doing great. I was just about to say good morning, but there are people sometimes that tune in from other parts of the world, and I'm saying so. Good day, good evening, right? Whatever time you're tuning in, man. I thank you so much, for tuning in and supporting. When I go live, when I post videos and things of that nature, man. Definitely, it's all for the love of the sport of boxing, man. I hope everybody's doing great, man. It's a great day today. It's Friday down here in Mexico. That's what I'm talking about. Salute from the South, man. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, et cetera, right? As I always say, man, thank you so much for your support. All love. I hope everybody is doing safe and I hope everyone's great out there, man. I definitely do, and I'm sure of it. I'm saying my prayers up for everyone, you know what I'm saying? And I just want to go live, man. As you guys know, I do flash lives, man, just out of nowhere. Boom, flash live. That's why I call it flash live, and I want to talk about and I want to give my final, analysis concerning the Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce bout. I don't know how many of you guys saw the weigh-in and stuff like that, but interesting stuff, man. I want to get to details concerning the weight. I want to get into details concerning, the fighting styles just a little bit more in depth, just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? I've been posting a couple videos already. I think I have 2 so far concerning the bout, between Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. You got several fights, Lord willing, going down tomorrow. I'm going to drink my water. Several fights tomorrow, man, that are scheduled, man. I mean, as everybody knows, if I'm not mistaken, the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Exhibition is going to go down. And it's a trip because from what I know, that fight is not going to have any judges. So there won't be a winner. So it's kind of odd, right? And it's a pay-per-view. So from what I heard, it's a trip, man, because from what I heard, that fight is it has done amazing numbers in pay-per-view. I mean, wow. And I don't know if those guys are getting back-end money, but from what I understand, I think Mike Tyson is going to donate some of that cash to charity or something like that, some of the revenue, the earnings, sorry. So I really don't know the details. Like I said, I'm sure you guys know, as far as what I say on my platform, I really don't talk about pay-per-view numbers. I don't get into numbers and things of that nature. So I don't know. But it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to point out that and to, to know that that fight is doing big numbers. I mean, I don't even know. I think I read it real quick on social media somewhere. I don't know, but I read it somewhere that this fight is, and it's a trip because it's exhibition. I mean, these guys are legends, though. I mean, I understand why. I mean, it goes back to Jorge Arce versus Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. They did 3 exhibition fights. Interesting fights, man. I don't know if anybody watched them, but down here in Mexico, they did it. I don't remember what part of Mexico, but I think it's up north in Mexico. Interesting fights, man, as far as the exhibition. You know what I'm saying? There are exhibitions. I posted some videos on it on the first and second, if I'm not mistaken, exhibition fights between Jorge Arce and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. And, I mean, this is kind of similar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't really take it too serious. Lawrence Williams, what's good, my guy? My guy, Lawrence Williams. What is up, bro? I'm just going to talk a little bit about, the Dubois versus Joyce fight. I want to get into details about it. And I'm just giving a little bit, some of the fluff news, you know what I mean, that's going on right now as far as, Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson. And that's the thing. I don't really take this fight too seriously. It's an exhibition fight. They're very, very up there in age as far as boxing is concerned. I mean, they're still healthy. They're still strong, which is great. That's the most important part. But, as far as them fighting and stuff like that, I'm not too excited about it. You know what I'm saying? Not too excited about it. That's why I don't really talk about it. I talked about it a couple times just because I gave my opinion concerning it of these guys fighting. And the same thing I feel with, Jorge Arce and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. I mean, it was fun to watch. It was just like an entertaining aspect, I guess, but it's not really like taking it serious. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the same, that's the same idea I have about Tone Brown. What's going on, man? Lawrence Williams, Tone Brown. Thank you guys for jumping in, man. Thank you guys so much. I want to focus in a moment on Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce, man, in a moment. And I just want to talk about, generally speaking, about all these exhibitions fights that we're seeing, you know what I'm saying? With there were 3. It didn't make much buzz, as far as in the States, North America, I don't think. But in Mexico, it did. But at the same time, people didn't really take it too serious, you know what I'm saying, concerning Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and Jorge Arce, so El Travieso, they call him in Spanish. So, I mean, it wasn't a really big thing. Everybody knows they're out of the prime. Everybody knows they don't take it serious. They had their helmets on and stuff like that. It was kind of fun, but I kind of see it the same thing with Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Obviously, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., man, they're amazing, legends. I don't take it serious. So I don't even think I'm going to watch it, man. I don't know. I don't really Not interested. And the thing here is that Oscar De La Hoya now is talking about coming back, fighting Triple G. I don't pay attention to that really too much because I don't take that serious. You know what I'm saying? I don't take these guys, legends. I definitely respect them, and I have spoken my opinion concerning Oscar De La Hoya of him being a promoter. I think I don't think he's the best promoter. You know what I'm saying? I think really not a good promoter. I mean, as you guys can see, the results, Canelo's out of there, so it looks like he doesn't really take care, of a lot of his fighters. You know what I'm saying? He just focuses on, those he can market the best, and then the other ones, it seems like they're just left in the shadow. Like, for example, you got Jojo Diaz. I mean, he signed the MTK for help. I mean, I think he did it just for help, man, because I mean, look at Jojo Diaz is not getting that much attention and light in Golden Boy. I mean, it's sad, man. It's really sad. So, that's why I'm trying to say here that, I mean, my respects to Oscar when he was a fighter, definitely. I got nothing to say against that. But as a promoter, I think he's kind of shady, you know what I'm saying? And I know each promoter has their shadiness, you know what I'm saying? Each promoter, I assume, I mean, they all have, shady things, they all have a dark side, I guess we could say, right? So, I'm not really excited about, Oscar coming back and saying, running his mouth off a lot about Triple G and I can take him and it'll be easy for me and blah, blah, blah. Just get to what you're going to do, bro. I mean, that's the thing here, and I know, but the thing here is that Oscar De La Hoya, he's not coming back for exhibition. He's coming back for pro. And, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of speculation out there that, he's doing it because he's desperate. You know what I'm saying? He needs the money, his cash cow left. Now all his hope, it looks like, from the outside looking in, I'm just saying from the outside looking in, it looks like he's just banking his hope on Ryan Garcia, man, to be the next quote unquote Canelo. And, who knows, man, it looks like he's kind of maybe desperate. I don't know, who knows? I don't know his money. I don't know his bank account. I'm not a bank accountant, whatever. I'm not his accountant. So, I mean, it's just from the outside looking in, you know what I'm saying? But the way he's moving and making moves ever since this whole Canelo issue, kind of does look like he needs money, man. It kind of does. I mean, why do you think he wants to go back to pro? I mean, he needs money. I think that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not even excited about it, honestly. That's why I don't make videos about it. I mean, I do talk about it a little bit from time to time, but because it's news. I mean, it's news in the boxing and the boxing world. You know what I'm saying? But if he were come back and fight, I mean, I wouldn't really be excited about it. I mean, unless he comes back and fights a big name, Triple G, I don't really see him as, you know what I'm saying, interesting to watch. I mean, I haven't really been too interested in Triple G ever since he fought like Canelo, you know what I'm saying? After that, I just kind of, because I've said it time and time again. I mean, one of my first video on this channel, and I've said it time and time again, you know what I'm saying, that my first video on this channel is called Triple G, the King for Long. Like in a question form, Triple G, the King for Long, questioning it, because I knew, and this was like, what, 2 years ago? And because I knew, I just saw it, that he was starting to go out of his prime. He was starting to, go over the hill. And, ever since he fought Canelo twice, I was like, nah, all right. I think it's time for Triple G to think about retiring. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's against the grain, but it is what it is. I mean, we see it right now. I mean, we're seeing the full effect of what I've been saying ever since I made my first video, approximately around that time, you know what I'm saying? So, and that video, and I had stage fright in my first several videos, man. I had stage fright, I was getting the learning how to, speak, on live sessions or whatever, right? And videos and stuff like that. But I keep it on there because it's true. I keep that video on there because it's true, you know what I'm saying? So my point in saying this, man, is that even if Oscar De La Hoya were to come back and fight, Triple G, I wouldn't really be interested in it, because Triple G, I mean, he should retire, man. He should have done retired for a while. And I've said it time and time again. I don't know if people are, because media does it sometimes. Whatever you want to call it, old, new, whatever. I mean, media talks about it. Okay, sometimes media, some media outlets, try to ask these senseless questions of, is Triple G going to fight Canelo next year for the trilogy? Who cares, man? You know what I'm saying? Who cares? I mean, I see through that. It's all just smoke and mirrors. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see Triple G really fight. He's going to fight Sesmeta, which I respect. I mean, 21st, I guess it's a world record, something like that. They're pushing that a lot from the zone and the promotion, that 21st, title defense, something like that, right? World record or whatever. I mean, that's fine for him. That's great. You know what I'm saying? But against Sesmeta, I mean, I'm not trying to say this. I'm not really too hyped about watching Triple G fight anymore. So if Oscar De La Hoya comes back and fights Triple G, I mean, I'm not really excited about it at all. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, but it may be because Oscar is kind of desperate my point in saying all this thing to conclude, with Roy Jones, this whole Roy Jones Mike Tyson fight. I mean, it'll be interesting. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I probably won't watch it, but I don't know. I'm just kind of in the air about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't take these kinds of fights too seriously. Even if Oscar comes back, I'm not taking it seriously. You know what I'm saying? So interesting stuff that's going on in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? And but I do want to focus on this right now. I do want to focus on Daniel Dubois versus Joyce. I've been pushing a couple videos, about this fight. I think it was since months ago. Since months ago, I started talking about this, pushing a couple videos, kind of following it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys saw the weigh-in. Interesting stuff. We have Daniel Dubois. Excuse me. We have Daniel Dubois. He is around 244 pounds or 244 pounds. Okay. He weighed in at 244 pounds. And we have Joe Joyce, okay, weighing in at 200, almost 259 pounds. So 258 pounds, 258.9 pounds. So, I mean, the thing here is that Daniel Dubois, what I'm trying to say here is that what I see from the weigh-in and from how much they're, hey, Syndicate Jay, what's going on, fam? Thank you guys so much for jumping in, man. Thanks so much. Like I said, man, I go flash. Sometimes I just do flash lives out of nowhere. I know I don't announce it or anything. That's why I call them flash lives. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry for not announcing it. I just, just want to take opportunity, the time I got right now, and just jump in live real quick and talk about this Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, my final analysis on this. So Dubois is weighing 244 pounds. Joe Joyce is weighing in at 258 pounds, almost 259. So, I mean, just from the weight factor, you guys, I mean, Daniel Dubois, he's weighing in less. So he's going to be lighter. So he's going to be faster. So, I mean, that's something that points out. It sticks out to me very clearly. Okay. It sticks out to me a lot that, we have Daniel Dubois weighing in lighter. He's going to be faster as it is. And I've heard people talk about, Daniel Dubois isn't that fast anyway, but he's faster than Joyce. We got to get that, we got to clarify that point right there. He's faster than Joe Joyce, you guys. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've heard around the way that, people saying, yeah, dude, Dan Dubois is not that fast. And, well, he's faster than Joe Joyce. I know that. You know what I'm saying? So if he's weighing in less, which he is, 244, but we don't know how much they're going to weigh, how much they're going to eat and rehydrate, whatever you want to call it, right? But I don't think they need to. They're heavyweights. So 244 pounds and 258, almost 259 pounds with Joyce. That's a nice difference, you know what I'm saying? So I think that Daniel Dubois is going to come in quicker. He's going to come in definitely, faster combos, faster 1-2s, as typically Daniel Dubois does. He throws them 1-2s, you know what I'm saying? So he's definitely going to be faster in this fight, faster than Joyce. Lawrence Williams says here, let me get to Lawrence Williams. Joyce is 11 pounds lighter for his last. That's something I want to talk about, Lawrence Williams. Good point, bro. Good point. Always, all good stuff right there. Now, that's another thing I wanted to point out here. Joyce is lighter, though, than his exactly. He is definitely lighter than his last fight. Exactly. I mean, that's something I wanted to point out, too. He's ripped. And I made a video about that, a few days ago. He's in shape for his trajectory in the heavyweight division. I mean, you guys go back and watch him, his fights. He's really in shape. I mean, I got to give him that. Definitely. I got to give him that. And I think that Joe Joyce is possibly going to be a little bit faster, okay, than he usually is. I got to point that out, okay? So I think that Joe Joyce is going to be a little bit faster than he usually is, okay? But Daniel Dubois, I think he's going to definitely be faster. He's going to be, as far as speed, I think he's going to be faster. You know what I'm saying? And there's another thing I want to point out here with Joe Joyce. And I've noticed this that he has done, I like what Joe Joyce does with his upper body work, his upper body movement. I don't know the names. I don't really know the names that he has fought. You know what I'm saying? I've just seen him fight. I've just seen him fight several fights. You know what I'm saying? I don't really pay attention to those names because I have no idea who they are. Okay. I'm sorry, man, with all due respect, to these guys and their opponents. But, Joe Joyce, I have seen, and what I like about Joe Joyce, all right, is the upper body movement that he does. I really like that, man. I definitely like that, and I got to point that out in this final analysis, okay? Because that may give problems. That may give problems to Daniel Dubois, man. It may give problems to Daniel Dubois, okay? I definitely got to point that out because a lot of people me included, have focused a lot, and I didn't really want to talk about it until now, until my final analysis, one day before the fight. A lot of people don't really talk about, or at least I haven't heard much about, when people talk about Joe Joyce, everyone talks about how slow he is. I mean, and I've talked about it too a lot. Well, not too much because I really don't talk about these fighters anyway, but, I am now, because ever since this fight was announced back in March, like I said, I made a video about it. I don't remember how long ago it was. I think a couple months ago or something like that. I don't remember. And then, I've been kind of following it. A lot of people talk about Joe Joyce's how slow he is. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't talk about his upper body movement and his head movement. I mean, I give him that. I definitely give him that. I mean, he has done it, in his fights, and I really like it, and I think that that's going to cause a problem for Daniel Dubois. I definitely do think that, man. So Daniel Dubois, I really hope he trained. I really hope he trained for that upper body movement that Joe Joyce does, that he does in the ring. He's kind of quick in that, man. He's pretty good in that. I'm not taking anything away from that, and I got to point that out. Joe Joyce, he does that well. He does that pretty good. I mean, for a heavyweight, he does that pretty good. So, I mean, I think that's going to give a problem to Daniel Dubois in the first few rounds, man. I think it is, because I say the first few rounds because all fighters come in fresh. You know what I'm saying? They come in fresh. Now, this is another thing I gotta point out here, that unfortunately, it's a sad thing, man. It's a sad thing that, nowadays we don't see, fighters, excuse me, they don't really come warmed up in a fight, man. And that's something, I mean, some do. I'm not saying they don't, but, when you go back, back in the earlier days of fighting and boxing, I'm saying the 80s, 90s fighters, early 2000s or whatever, you see fighters, they're already in the ring sweating before the round starts, before round one starts. They're sweating already. They're warmed up. You know what I mean? They're warmed up. They're ready to go. And a lot of these fighters, man, nowadays, they step into the ring, when the announcer is, in the blue corner, blah, 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 whatever, right? Before round one starts, they're not even sweating, man. They're not warmed up. And we talked about it, Boxing Then and Now series that I have. I kind of stalled it because I had to get back to my semester, this semester calendar 2020B of my studies, the degree I'm studying. So, I mean, I have less time. And Boxing Then and Now, I usually dedicate 2 hours at least, man. 2 hours. Y'all know I have that series. We have 1 through 7 with Stormy Beeman, the OG, Curtis Anderson, Reggie Owens, family right there, man. And in one of those episodes, shows, we talked about that, I'm saying, about warming up, about fighters warming up, and how, nowadays we don't see that much anymore. I'm saying? We don't see, and that's a sad thing, man. That's a really sad thing. These coaches got to really train their fighters on how to really warm up, before a fight, and be ready, because then they're faster, they're alert, they're more alert, their muscles are, they're more ready physically, when they're warmed up, what I'm saying? And sometimes fighters, now the reason why I say this is because Daniel Dubois, he'll probably, if he's warmed up, okay, if he's properly warmed up and if he's ready to go, I'm saying, round one, I think the early rounds, we're going to see Joe Joyce do a lot of that upper body movement, doing that upper body movement and confusing Daniel Dubois. I think that can give an issue for Daniel Dubois. I really do think that can give him an issue. And I'm almost positive we're going to see that. We're going to see that tomorrow. You're going to see, you guys. What I'm saying? So, hey, thank you guys for jumping in the building, man. We got Mark Blake jumping in the building. Thanks so much, man. Tone Brown, Titica J, Lawrence Williams, man. Thank you guys so much, man. Mark Blake. Man, what's going on, Mark Blake? It's good to see you, bro. We got Lawrence Williams continuing to say here. Joyce's best win is Bryant Jennings, which Luis Ortiz 1-2. Nice. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff right there, man. Awesome. Yeah. Bryant Jennings. Awesome, man. Yeah. Like I said, I don't really know these names of their opponents, man. As far as, Daniel Boaz and, Joe Joyce's opponents, I don't really know too much about them. I do know about Richard Lardy. Because I focused a lot about that fight with Dan Dubois. And several other fighters, but I really don't, never heard these guys ever, I called the Koyotaro Fujimoto, something like that. I called that fight on my channel, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's a couple of these fighters I've seen for the first time in my life when they fought them, but yeah, I'm not too good with these guys. Yeah, so we have here Lawrence Williams got, can you say Dubois best win is heavyweight prospect? Cool. Nathan Gorman. Oh, right on. Okay, I didn't know that. Awesome. Good stuff right there, man. Thanks so much, Lawrence Williams, for adding that stuff. So, you know, that's the thing. I think you guys, okay, just watch it. Just watch the fight tomorrow. And, you know, Lord willing, when the fight goes down, I think that Daniel Dubois, if it comes properly warmed up, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully he does. He's going to give that head movement. You know what I'm saying? If it comes in fresh in the fight, he's going to give that head movement and confuse Daniel Dubois, that upper body movement. And I really like that from Joe Joyce. That's a great tool that he has in his arsenal. You know, great defensive skills right there in that aspect. But, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Daniel Dubois, I hope he prepared for that. I really do hope he prepared. Because the thing here, you guys, you know, you got to, when you go back to, when you go back to, hold on one second. When you go back to Daniel Dubois' fights, I mean, sometimes a lot of his opponents, you know, they don't really have that head movement, upper body movement. You know, Daniel Dubois just goes in straight and boom, he just annihilates them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. The upper, you know, the heavyweight division sometimes are not the best in doing that. You know, upper body movement, head movement. You know what I'm saying? Some are, obviously there are exceptions, of course. You know, but you know, when it comes to Daniel Dubois' opponents, I don't think he's faced that kind of defensive skills from his opponent. So I think Joe Joyce, he's going to definitely bring that. I really do think he's going to bring it. He's done it before in his fights, and I really like that from Joe Joyce. So Daniel Dubois better come in prepared. He better come in prepared to know how to fight against somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it can confuse and frustrate Daniel Dubois for the first few rounds. I personally think that it is going to frustrate him. You know what I'm saying? I think that Daniel Dubois is going to get frustrated because of that upper body movement and head movement that Joe Joyce has. That's effective. And I hope Joe Joyce's coach and trainer is telling him to do that against Daniel Dubois. He definitely has to. It's going to really help him. It's going to really help him against Daniel Dubois, because Daniel Dubois is that type of guy that goes forward, man, and he studies you. But now the thing here is that Daniel Dubois, you know what I'm saying, for him, for the amount of fights he has, what does he have? What, like 15 fights, right? I mean, they're around the same, amount of fights that Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois have. So Daniel Dubois, I mean, for his experience so far and his professional career in heavyweights, he's pretty smart, man. And the thing here is that what I've seen, at least to a certain extent, you know what I'm saying, that Daniel Dubois is quite patient. He's patient, you know, his composure is great. You know, he's a solid fighter, you know, the way he stands, you know, has his guard up, and he's just studying you. And then he's going to counter you nicely. You know what I'm saying? So now that's where I think that Daniel Dubois is going to have some success in this fight. And that amount of success opens the opportunity. Check this out, guys. That amount of success that Daniel Dubois has in countering Joe Joyce when Joe Joyce tries to, you know, punch or, you know, throw a couple combos or something like that. You know, I think that Daniel Dubois, the minimal or whatever amount of success he has in countering Joe Joyce, because we already know that Joe Joyce is not the fastest. All right. And I personally think that, you know, Daniel Dubois is going to counter Joe Joyce nicely. He's going to counter him nicely, man. And that success that he has, whether it be big or small, I think it's going to really rock Joe Joyce, man. I think it's going to really rock him, man. Thanks so much, man. Ogden Knight is in the building, man. Thanks so much for jumping in, family. Thanks so much for jumping in, guys. Thanks for jumping in. We're just talking about Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce, man. I give my final analysis. Y'all go ahead and comment down there below what you guys think. You know what I'm saying? But so what I was saying is that, you know, Daniel Dubois, he's gonna be patient. He's going to be patient, because I've noticed that about Daniel Dubois. That's an advantage and a strength that Daniel Dubois has. He's patient. He sits there and he analyzes you, you know, and he's not just going to jump in always. You know what I'm saying? He's not just going to push forward always. He's going to wait. He's going to wait. And when his opponent strikes, Daniel Dubois will counter it, bop, bop, you know, with the 1-2, you know, and that's where I think Daniel Dubois is going to hurt Joe Joyce. He's going to rock him. I think it's going to, because I mean, Joe Joyce, you go back to his career. Excuse me. He has 11 fights. Okay. I mean, you're talking about prospects here. I mean, we're not talking about, you know, veterans, and, you know what I'm saying, we're not talking about seasoned vets, you know, top caliber. Obviously they're prospects. So Joe Joyce has 11 fights. Okay. So you have Daniel Dubois has 15 fights, you know, and so I think that, you know, Daniel Dubois, as far as the experience, you know, he has more patience. And I think he's going to rock Joe Joyce, man. That's what I think. I think that's going to happen. But Joe Joyce's skills and his defense, as far as his upper body movement and stuff like that. Now, what I don't like about Joe Joyce sometimes, it does keep his guard up, man. And that's what I'm saying. I think Daniel Dubois is he's gonna take advantage on that. He's gonna take advantage of Joe Joyce, you know, sometimes not keeping his guard up, man. If you go back to some of his fights, you know, Joe Joyce, he doesn't keep his guard up habitually. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like Joe Joyce depends a lot on his upper body movement and his head movement. Okay, it seems like he does that sometimes, and he doesn't keep his guard up at all sometimes, you know. So that is not the thing to do against Daniel Dubois. Definitely, you don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that against Daniel Dubois, man. So I think that you know, Daniel Dubois is gonna rock Joe Joyce when Joe Joyce opens up like that, you know, and he's gonna sit back patiently. I kind of visualize the fight, man. Daniel Dubois is gonna sit patiently and wait for Joe Joyce to do something. Then he's going to counter and he's going to jump in and just, you know, rock him throughout the rounds, man. I think that Joe Joyce will probably have success in the first couple rounds, maybe. Okay, in the first couple rounds, and then Daniel Dubois is going to, you know, figure him out. And I think that there's possibly going to be a knockout. Okay, I think there's going to possibly be a knockout, man, in this fight. I don't want to make this live too long. I want to focus more on anything on Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. Okay, so I think there's going to be a knockout. Now, I kind of predict a knockout around possibly round seven. Sounds kind of weird, right? Around round 7. Okay, I would think there's going to be a knockout. Now, something I've noticed, I've mentioned before, and he's done it before, not just with this guy, right? Not just with Richard Lardy. Okay, you go back to a couple of Daniel Dubois fights. He's good in exchanges. I mentioned this in my last video about these guys. You know, Daniel Dubois is good at throwing exchanges on the inside, man. So that's the thing that Joe Joyce has to really be careful for. He really has to be careful for when Daniel Dubois throws, you know, exchange when they go. If Joe Joyce wants to throw exchanges on the inside, man, and really get to it and get dirty, you know what I'm saying, and just start throwing down. I think that Daniel Dubois will get the better of that exchange. Okay, so Joe Joyce better be careful for that. You know what I'm saying? Joe Joyce, you know, he's done it, and I don't think he won't do it. You know, if Joe Joyce thinks about, you know, throwing exchanges on the inside, Daniel Dubois is going to get the best of that. Now you go back to the Richard Lardy. I like to focus on that one. He's done it before though in other fighters, but if you go back to Richard Lardy, I think it was in round 4. You know, because Richard Lardy was, you know, clinching up a lot, and then the referee told him, you know, he reprimanded Lardy because it was clinching so much. And it seemed like, you know, Daniel Dubois got kind of mad, and they just started going at it, man. Right after that clinch, I think it was in round 4 approximately, man, or round 3, I don't remember. Man, there were just a quick exchange, and Daniel Dubois was pretty fast, but he was missing a few shots, but he did land a couple good ones. But Richard Lardy did land, I think it was a nice right hook in that exchange on Daniel Dubois. And Daniel Dubois, it looks like he has a chin, man. Looks like he has a chin. I mean, those are a couple things I took from that exchange. You know what I'm saying? He's done exchanges before. He has a committed itself. You know, Daniel Dubois has committed himself to some exchanges in other fights. But this one in particular got my attention because you can see that Daniel Dubois is fast in his exchanges. He throws fast punches on the inside, man. So Joe Joyce has to watch out for that. And I took from that also from that exchange that he had with Richard Lardy. You know, he got caught, bam. You know, and he kind of lost his balance actually. You know, Daniel Dubois after that exchange, he kind of lost his balance. So Daniel Dubois has to be careful when he does exchanges also. You know, don't lose your balance. Don't get too emotional because he did get kind of emotional on the inside when he was throwing those exchanges with Richard Lardy. So Daniel Dubois can't get emotional, you know what I'm saying? But he's really fast on the inside, man. I mean, that's another thing that a lot of people aren't noticing. Don't notice that when Daniel Dubois throws exchanges on the inside, he's fast. Yes, he got a little emotional with Richard Lardy, kind of lost his balance at the end, but he has a tough chin. And he did land some nice shots on the inside with Richard Lardy in that exchange. So, you know, if Joe Joyce, now the reason why I'm explaining this in detail is because if Joe Joyce tries to throw some, you know, exchanges on the inside, I think that Daniel Dubois is definitely going to get the best of that exchange, man. Most likely, Daniel Dubois is definitely going to get the better of that exchange on the inside. So Joe Joyce has to be very careful, man. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how many people, I don't see this too much as like, you know, Daniel Dubois is going to come in and, you know, he has a big chance. And I don't see that too much, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people I think I've heard around the wayside, you know what I'm saying, you know, communities, platforms, whatever, they're giving Joe Joyce a big chance. I'm not giving him a big chance in this fight. I know it sounds weird, whatever. I just got my opinions. I'm just throwing out my opinions on this, man. I don't think Joe Joyce has a real big chance. You know what I'm saying? I think, of course, he has any chance. He has a chance just like any other fighter when they come up and fight somebody. But no, I see more of, you know, I see more advantages and strengths on Daniel Dubois' side, man. I mean, I know it sounds maybe controversial, but it is what it is. I'm going to speak my mind. I think that Daniel Dubois has more advantages, man, than Joe Joyce. I mean, a lot of people are going for Joe Joyce too. Yeah, I think I've seen like more British fans going for Joe Joyce or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. But I think that Daniel Dubois has more strengths in this fight. He has the speed, and like I was saying a moment ago, he has the exchanges. He has more patience. Okay. But Joe Joyce does have that upper body movement, you know what I'm saying? To a certain extent, I like Joe Joyce's footwork also. I like Joe Joyce's footwork because he jumps out the way. You know what I'm saying? I like how he, like I said, I've seen it before. When he does the upper body movement, say the head movement with other opponents, he uses the ring quite decently. He jumps out the way. He knows how to use his feet to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely respect that in Joe Joyce. So that's another thing I wanted to point out too. So if Joe Joyce uses more of that footwork, upper body movement, head movement against Daniel Dubois, that can really give Daniel Dubois problems. Now we talk about the footwork element, okay, in Joe Joyce's game. And I haven't seen the best like footwork. It seems like Daniel Dubois seems a little bit more flat-footed when you compare him to Joe Joyce. Looks like Daniel Dubois is a little bit more flat-footed, and I think that can give another problem to Daniel Dubois. So I mean, I got to balance this out too. You know what I'm saying? As far as when you talk about Joe Joyce's side, also go back and watch a couple of his fights. He does use the ring kind of decently. I think he uses it more than Daniel Dubois as far as footwork is concerned. And Joe Joyce knows how to jump out the way when it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to backpedal, and when his opponent tries to go forward, he can backpedal nicely, or he can just jump out the way quickly. You know what I'm saying? So those are big strengths that Joe Joyce has. It just depends on the game plan that he comes in against Daniel Dubois. It just depends on the game plan. I think personally that Joe Joyce should use more of that footwork, keep that upper body movement and that head movement, active, and use timing. Use timing against Daniel Dubois because Daniel Dubois is fast, and Daniel Dubois' weapons are his patience, his speed, and Daniel Dubois definitely has to go to Joe Joyce's body a little bit more, man. Don't just go for the headshots. Don't just go for knocking him out, things of that nature. Go for the body. Go for the body, definitely, man. So he has to work the body. Daniel Dubois definitely has to work the body. With the power that Daniel Dubois has, don't just go for the head all the time. You know what I'm saying? Go to the body. That's what Daniel Dubois got to do against Joe Joyce. You know what I'm saying? If he does that, if he's constant with that, if he's consistent in that, it's going to break Joe Joyce down. With Daniel Dubois' power, man, that's going to definitely break Joe Joyce down. Now, I think personally, now there's another thing I got to explain, and I've explained it in my other videos concerning this matchup. Man, Daniel Dubois, I hope that his stamina is up and ready, man. I hope his stamina is in tip-top, level to fight against Joe Joyce, because Joe Joyce has that, he has that experience as far as the rounds. You know what I'm saying? Joe Joyce, it seems like he can last quite long in fights. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely give that credit to Joe Joyce, the stamina side. But I just don't see Joe Joyce being so consistent in the things that I'm talking about. Like, as the rounds go on, I don't think Joe Joyce will be too consistent, with his defense. And I think that's where Daniel Dubois is gonna execute, and take advantage. But Daniel Dubois has to have his stamina up. I hope I don't see him tiring out and, starting to clinch up, getting tired. But we haven't really seen that too much from Daniel Dubois. When it comes to quick clinching up, and one of his previous fights, I gotta go back to that again. It was against Lardy, when Lardy was clinching because Daniel Dubois was hurting him. So I mean, Lardy only had to do was clinch, because I mean that was he had to resort to that because of the hurt that Daniel Dubois was putting on him. So, but I don't think Daniel Dubois is the type of guy to clinch up a lot. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. The only thing here I also see as a possible danger for Daniel Dubois is his stamina. If his stamina is good, he's going to break down Joe Joyce, man. I think he's going to break him down. And I personally got Daniel Dubois, I repeat one more time, taking out Joe Joyce around round 8. Yeah, I think he's going to knock him out, man. I think he's going to knock him out. And I'm definitely rooting for Daniel Dubois. But we'll see, right? If Joe Joyce wins, all due credit, man. All due credit. And I'm going to definitely take my hats off. I'm going to take my hat off to Joe Joyce if he wins. But I don't see him too tough. I don't see him, I don't know how you guys see it, but I don't. Hey, big homie Coop is in the building. What's up? What's up, Coop? Man, we're just breaking down this Dan Dubois fight, bro. Thanks so much for jumping in, bro. Dan Dubois versus Joe Joyce. I'm just breaking it down. Like I said, man, with these lives, sometimes I just go flat. That's why I call them flash lives now. Sometimes it's go on live, boom, out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I just go live out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's a flash live. And I want to give my final analysis on Dan Dubois. Bruce Goes is in the building. What's going on? Coop, Bruce Goes, Ogden, all you guys, man. Thank you guys for jumping in. Thank you guys for jumping in, man. Peeping in here, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, I just do flash live sometimes out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? And you guys already know sometimes when I do other lives, I kind of announce them days before, right? But, this one, I just want to go live, boom, and take advantage of some free time I got right now. So that's the thing, Dan Dubois, he definitely has to have the stamina. If he has the stamina, I think he's gonna take Joe Joyce out nicely. I don't see this too competitive, man, because but I gotta emphasize again. I gotta reiterate what Lawrence Williams said a moment ago, and it's very true. And that's actually a point I wanted to talk about. That let me go back to that. Joyce is 11 pounds lighter for his last fight in the summer. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I mean that's a plus for Joe Joyce. That's a plus. And if I'm not mistaken, Joe Joyce knows. I mean, the thing about fighters nowadays, man, they know what media is talking about. Whatever we want to call it, right? If it's new, old, whatever, just media, YouTube platforms and stuff like that. Fighters know what media is talking about. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember exactly, but like I said, I've been following the Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce fight. You know what I'm saying? I've been following the lead up to the fight at least. So, like you guys know, go check my platform out. I got videos. I've been pushing a couple videos about these fighters, and about this matchup in particular. So I think that Joe Joyce, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you guys have heard, Joe Joyce has responded about him being criticized of his speed, about how slow he is, at least. About how slow he is. So I think Joe Joyce, man, I think one of the things that he has focused on in this camp is being faster, man, punching faster. Now, the weight has something to do with this. Like Lawrence Williams pointed out right here, that Joyce is 11 pounds lighter for his last fight in the summer. Now, and as I mentioned a moment ago, that Joe Joyce is weighing in at 258. Okay, so it's lighter. He's lighter. Just look at his physique in the weigh-in. It's beautiful. Beautiful physique. And I definitely give credit to Joe Joyce in that, man. It looks like he really did work hard in camp. So I'm not taking anything away from Joe Joyce here. I mean, that may, okay, if it's true what I'm thinking right now and analyzing this with him being lighter, and I just mentioned it earlier in this live, that Joe Joyce he's most likely going to be faster than he usually is because of his reduction in weight. And I think I think I did see it or read it somewhere quickly or heard it in an interview. Joe Joyce, he knows about the criticism that he has received on how slow he fights, man, on how slow he punches. I wouldn't say fight because, like I said, in his defensive skills, he's quite quick, man. His upper body movement's nice, head movement's nice from Joe Joyce. Guys, go back and watch a couple of his fights. And he does pretty good in that, but the weak point of his defense, sometimes he keeps his guard down, man. That's not good. He keeps his gloves down and tries to, I don't know if he tries to be flashy or nothing like that. I don't think so. He just, but he does use his upper body movement and his head work pretty good, guys. I mean, that pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So Joe Joyce, I think if now let me get back to what I'm saying. If he really did focus on his speed, improving his speed in camp, and we can kind of see it correlate with the reduction of his weight, as you guys can see, he's in beautiful shape. If he really did work on that, then it might be a more competitive fight. It really might be a more competitive fight. So like I said, it just depends on the game plan that Joe Joyce is going to have and his team. They better have a, improved game plan. I say improved because if Joe Joyce comes in and fights as he usually fights, I don't see much of a competition, okay? I don't see much of a competition. That's kind of how I've seen it, okay? That's why I've said from the, earlier in this live that I don't see this too much of a competition because, Daniel Dubois for the strengths that I explained. But if Joe Joyce comes in with a different game plan, if he really did work on his speed, and we see a correlation and we see evidence in his weight reduction, then it might be a more competitive fight than what I'm thinking. Then it definitely might be a more competitive fight than I'm thinking. Let me get to the chat real quick, man. Thank you guys for jumping in, man. I'm looking forward to a replay. Yeah, man. I think I remember you mentioned that some time ago. Also, Bruce goes that, man, if Joe Joyce comes in with what I'm saying, man, if he really did work on his speed, if he, and we do see evidence, and I got to repeat it, we do see evidence in his weight reduction, then this is going to probably be a nice competitive fight, man. Because for the fact that Joe Joyce is coming in lighter, he's going to be faster in his defensive skills too. This is just opening up more doors now, and I'm thinking about it a little bit more. Like I said a moment ago, guys, he's great in his upper body movement for a few rounds at least, right? And his head movement, he's pretty good, Joe Joyce. For a heavyweight, he's pretty good in that. And with his footwork, he's pretty decent. I like how he uses the ring. He jumps back. I mean, he uses the ring quite well, man. I mean, as for a heavyweight, at least, you know what I'm saying? And for his weight, that's the thing. He kind of heavy when he would come in his previous fights. So because of his weight reduction and how how he looks in shape, he should be a lot better in those aspects. He should be. So it might be a more competitive fight than I'm thinking, actually, now that I think about it. Thanks for your comments, guys. I mean, it makes me reflect a little bit more. And let's go back to here. I only watched both fighters once. Oh, it's all good. I haven't seen enough footage to know how they. Well, yeah, Big Homie Coop. That's the thing that Dan Dubois, he's faster. He has power. He's patient. His composure is solid. You know what I'm saying? The way he has his composure, his guard is up. He's smart. So those are the strengths that Daniel Dubois has. And I repeat one more time, that when it comes to exchanges on the inside, he's fast, man. He's fast and dangerous. So that's the thing. If Joe Joyce, commits with an exchange on the inside, if they're, shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe, and they start exchanging on the inside, Daniel Dubois most likely is going to get the best of that exchange. He's most likely going to get the best of that exchange, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Dubois has a chin too, man. He's been punched fair square in the chin, man. When he would have exchanges against, specifically, let me go back real quick. When he fought Lardy, and he has had exchanges with other fighters on the inside. He's going to get the best of the exchanges. I'm almost positive of that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm almost positive that Daniel Dubois is going to get the best of the exchanges on the inside. If Joe Joyce, I wouldn't say senseless enough, but if he just gets emotional and starts going on the inside, Daniel Dubois is going to hurt Joe Joyce, man. Joe Joyce shouldn't be that senseless to do that, man. He shouldn't be senseless and just go in and you see what I'm saying, Big Homie Coop? But let me reiterate, Big Homie Coop. Joe Joyce is great with his upper body movement. He's pretty good, man, and his head movement. But he doesn't keep his guard up sometimes when he does that. That's the issue. But sometimes you don't really need that. It just depends how you do it. You don't really need to keep always your guard up, you know what I'm saying, when you do that, because you're avoiding shots from your opponent. That's the advantage that Joe Joyce has. And he knows how to jump out the way with his footwork. A lot of people don't talk about this when it comes to Joe Joyce, but I've analyzed that with Joe Joyce in several of his fights. So he does that pretty good, man. For a heavyweight, he's okay on that. For a prospect, and the context of Joe Joyce's trajectory, and as a prospect, he's pretty decent in doing that. So that can definitely cause problems with Dan Dubois. Now, reiterating one more time, if Joe Joyce is faster, and if they focused on that in training camp, which I think they possibly did because of the evidence of his weight reduction, might be a more competitive fight, man. This is really worth watching, Big Homie Coop. You definitely got to watch this fight, bro. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. Briscoe says, Jennings hurt Joyce to the body. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I don't remember watching that. I don't think I remember seeing them in that one. He had to watch out for those shots. Exactly. And that's what I mentioned a moment ago, Briscoe, is that Dan Dubois, considering how, he's pretty smart when he fights. Dan Dubois is patient, so he better go to the body. I don't want to see Joe Joyce just going to the head all the time, because if he does that, Joe Joyce, if Daniel Dubois just focuses on going to Joe Joyce's head, Dan Dubois is going to get frustrated. He definitely is, just for the fact of what Bruce Goes is saying here. So Jennings hurt Joyce to the body. He had to watch out for those shots. You see, so and considering, I said this earlier, considering Daniel Dubois' power, if he focuses and targets his power on Joe Joyce's body, ooh, that's going to hurt Joe. That's going to hurt Joe. Now, what I do remember, and I do recall, I just don't remember against what opponents, but Dan Dubois doesn't throw some nice jabs to the body, guys. I mean, if he focuses on consistently throwing jabs to the body, them straight, that's what I'm saying. Daniel Dubois' fundamentals are pretty nice, man. I like Daniel Dubois' fundamentals. Like I said, the fundamentals in him and how his composure, you know, how he keeps his guard up, you know, how he just sits back patiently. You know, he's smart. Dan Dubois got some decent skills, man. And I think that's going to really help him a lot in this Joe Joyce fight, man. Definitely. So, but he has to throw them jabs to the body. Bam. Because he's done it. He knows how to use that jab to the body. I mean, so he has to do that against Joe Joyce. You know, say we got big homie Coop here. Is Joyce still with Abel Sanchez? I'm not sure, bro. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember seeing him recently with Abel. I don't, because that's the first thing that pops to my mind. Recently, at least, I haven't seen him. And Bruce goes, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah. Joyce left Abel Sanchez. Yeah. So now, I don't know how long ago, just real quick, okay? Just bear with me, you guys. I don't know how long ago he left Abel Sanchez, but let me see. Hold on real fast. Let me check this out. Leaves Abel Sanchez. Just wait a second here. Let me check real fast right here, okay? So I think this was, yeah. So Joe Joyce, I'm just checking it real quick here. It's around 2019. So yeah, around 2019, he left Abel Sanchez, approximately. Early 2019. Around early 2019, Joe Joyce left Abel Sanchez. Now, please pay attention to this, guys. Abel Sanchez, you know, the way he is brought up, at least Triple G, you know, Triple G, I've talked about this ever since the beginning of my channel, man. Ever since the beginning of my channel. And about that time, I've detected that Triple G wasn't in his prime anymore, okay? And Triple G is and that's why, pay attention, please, guys. That's why Abel Sanchez brought up constantly that whole Mexican style with Triple G. They had that I guess, quote unquote, reputation or something like that. You know, they're always pushing that, Mexican style, you know, Triple G is the real Mexican style fighting, you know what I'm saying? And because Triple G, he would be the type that goes forward and just punches away, you know what I'm saying? That's not, you know, and I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, Joe Joyce, when he was with Abel Sanchez, he would get hit a lot. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, recent fights from Joe Joyce, he would use more of what I'm saying, that upper body movement and that head work. You know what I'm saying? I don't recall if he was using that when he was with Abel Sanchez. But what I do know is that Joe Joyce would get hit quite a bit, man. He would get hit quite a bit in his earlier fights. He would get hit quite a bit. So, you know, that's not I think that Joe Joyce has improved on that. You know, that go forward style, it's not the best style, man. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just not the best style. I don't favor that style from Triple G at all, man. And I don't know what they call it, big drama show. It's more like him getting pounded a lot show. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all due respect to Triple G though, but that dude he gets hit too much, man. But yeah, okay. So Bruce goes at he's with Adam Booth. Yeah. So okay, good. So yeah, I think that, you know, with Joe Joyce's defensive skills, that's going to really help him. And if he has improved in speed, with speed, you know, and hopefully he has, and, you know, using that to his advantage and the weight that he's in right now and the shape he's in right now, using that to his advantage, using the footwork to his advantage, I think he's going to give a problem for Daniel. He's going to give a problem for Daniel. Definitely he is, man. I mean, now I'm considering this. Now that, you know, L-Dub is giving these opinions and stuff, making me reflect on other aspects. Very true. Very true stuff. Big homie Coop continues to say Jacobs was, yeah, I mean, that was a really close fight. And the only reason I think that Triple G won was because of that, you know, controversial knockdown. Because the thing is, when Triple G knocked down Jacobs, quote unquote, knocked him down, he was like against the ropes. I don't remember if it was more like a trip up. You know what I'm saying? It looked like Jacobs' balance wasn't the best because they were like up against the ropes. And it looks like Jacobs had, you know, kind of got tangled up to a certain extent, like in the ropes. And Triple G took advantage of that and just, you know, kind of took advantage of him being off balance. I don't know if that was really a knockdown, but yeah, I think that Triple G only won because of that. Just because of that, man. Just because of that. So, yeah, I mean, you're definitely right, Coop. You're definitely right, bro. He's been finished. And you know what? Like I said, bro, I know it's controversial, but I've been saying this since the beginning of my channel. Ever since the first video. I know I sound shy. I sound kind of like really shy, you know. But I keep it there because it's true. Ever since I posted that video, man, I've seen that Triple G, he started on the decline. He started to go on a decline. You know, and I think at the time I made that video is when after the first Canelo Triple G fight. and I've seen he started going on a slight decline there. You know what I'm saying? So just one. Can you give guys a moment? Hold on, one moment, please. One moment, you guys. Hey, you guys, I'm sorry, man. I had to go up. I got an important phone call, man. I want to keep it kind of, I got a surprise, I guess we can say. I got a call from Hong Kong, all right? So it's hard to believe. Huh? I think I got a call right now from Hong Kong. I guess we can call it a project or something. And I was waiting on this call, actually. That's why I told you guys to wait a moment, because I just got the call right now. So I got to go off right now, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, but let me get to this. Yeah, I got a call from Hong Kong, and I got some things in the works. I don't want to spread the details right now. But it's some interesting stuff, man. Really interesting stuff, and I think you guys are gonna see something soon from me. All right. Good stuff, guys. Interesting stuff, and I think it's gonna really impact you guys. Okay. Big homie coop, real quick. Is the Triple D Joyce fight on ESPN Plus, bro? I really don't know. I think it's on. I'm not sure if it's on the Zone. No, it's not. It's under Frank Warren, Queensburg or something like that. I really don't know, bro. I got to check. I got to investigate that, but I got to get going because I'm going to receive this call from way across the world, man, because like I said, man, I got something in the works. And it's going to be a really distinct side of me, okay? I was surprised I got a call. I thought I was going to get the call next week, but hey, I got to get going, man. Thank you guys so much. So to conclude, I think that Daniel Dubois is going to win this fight, guys. I think that he's going to knock out Joe Joyce, but might be challenging. So I got to get going, man. I thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had to go. I got this call right now, so I got to go, man. But I thank you guys so much, man. Go ahead and like, go ahead and subscribe to our new listeners. Anyone who will listen later on, thank you guys so much for your support. I love you guys, man. Thank you guys so much. It's great chopping up with you guys. And I'll be pushing out videos more. You already know, man. Thank you guys so much, man. Peace.